Agape is people who are serving as the hands and feet of God on this earth.
Agape is love for the mothers, for the families, and for the children.
The people at Agape are kind and nice.
I would just say Agape is love in action. It's walking out what its name is.
It's about families and helping people, and that's what we do.
Without Agape, I really don't know where I would be.
Agape's love, unconditionally, no judgment.
It is truly a labor and an effort of love. Love for vulnerable people, vulnerable children.
It's a love that just spreads and it just grows, and the number of people that can be changed by that is enormous.
The love that Agape expresses to families and the community had its humble beginnings back in 1966. At the time, many orphans were raised in children's homes or cottages supported by churches. They had little hope of ever being adopted into a loving Christian family.
When the children came into the home, they couldn't get out. And without a social services connection, they did the best they could with what they had, but it wasn't the best possible way to handle child care.
On a typical Sunday morning at Otter Creek Church of Christ, the idea to do something about it began to take shape.
It's just a regular Sunday school class. Howard Justice was the teacher, and he told the class that this was something he'd always wanted to do.
And Howard, by his life, was well trained, and by his heart and his feelings, he motivated with his teaching.
The idea was simple: to form a ministry supported by church members that could provide assistance in the areas of foster care and adoption. Congregations from around Nashville were invited to join in this effort.
We had a meeting at the Ellington Agricultural Center for people who might be interested. Helen Watson and I were in charge, and we had the Belle Meade Buffet cater it, and they brought over food for 100, and people kept coming and coming and coming. We had to call them and tell them to bring food for another 100, and the place was packed. And we had 200 people, just seemed like right away. The Committee of 200, it was first called.
Those 200 provided the initial foundation of support.
We had our own passion, and when we heard about this, it really struck a chord with us, and we felt that that was something we believed in very strongly.
It created a working relationship with a lot of congregations in Nashville, working together and doing things together. And it opened up our ability to reach out and touch the neighborhood.
The name Agape was chosen as it expressed the unconditional love that would be at the heart of this new ministry. Howard took on the role of director, a role he would fill for 10 years, providing care for over 1,200 children. Myrtle Qualls was hired as its first social worker.
Myrtle Qualls was just an outstanding person, and she and Howard Justice worked together as a team. It was just beautiful to see them in action.
Working with maternity clients, the young girls seemed like they could just connect with Myrtle so well. Even though with her age difference, she made them feel at ease. It was just, she was a neat lady to talk to.
A number of us here at Otter Creek kept those girls. We kept several, and we worked with Myrtle Qualls. It placed you in a world that you just hadn't ever been in. We didn't always know where we were going or how we were going to do it. It evolved, and we learned a lot by what we were doing early on, and we improved on it. So it's been a constant evolution of learning how to do what we wanted to do in the best possible way.
I think we were young and green. We didn't really realize what we were getting into when it started.
But I remember getting phone calls, and Dorothy would call me at work and say, "Hey, they've got another one. Do you want to take this one or not? And how can you say no?"
I can't control what happens to a child the rest of their life. I don't have all these children for that amount of time, but I can take care of their needs today, and maybe I can teach them that God is there and God is real and God will help you. I'm glad we did it. We had a neighbor for a while that Jim said one time, he said, I've never seen you pregnant, but every time I look, you've got another baby or another child.
At the time we started the adoption process, Brother Justice didn't really have an office. He would meet us in his car.
We've been very blessed. And AGAPE came along just when we were starting out and mourning children, and it was a blessing by all means to us.
As AGAPE began to grow, many people stepped up to help in its mission. Dr. Lowry Kirby volunteered his pediatric services to over 2,500 children in his 21 years of service.
We had decided we were going to adopt, and we knew that we had been approved. And I got a phone call from Dr. Kirby one day, and we talked on the phone periodically, and he said, "I have just examined the most beautiful child I have ever seen." So, sure enough, we got little Mark when he was 5 days old. I never will forget, Howard and Myrtle Qualls brought that little boy out to our home. And it was a joyful day.
Over the years, many more families would experience that same kind of joy, thanks to those who donated their time, talent, and resources. Miles Ezell Jr. was one of the original signers of AGAPE's charter and served on the board for nearly 20 years. As chairman, he helped shepherd great changes in AGAPE as it overcame financial struggles, moved into a permanent home, and expanded its services. Counseling was always a part of AGAPE's mission, but it's grown into a much bigger role ever since Ron Cullison came on board in 1979.
With faith-based counseling, I feel a lot of freedom to be very genuine about my own faith and journey, but also to give people a safe place to ask hard questions that are hard to ask in church.
I'm confident that a lot of lives have been improved significantly and for generations because of the treatment that we've been able to provide with professional Christian counseling.
There's no way that AGAPE could accomplish its mission without the partnership of churches. Churches who refer to us, churches who provide space for counseling, churches who contribute to us financially. There's no way we could do what we do without churches being a part of that work.
In 1982, Tom Burton became director, a role he would fill for the next 30 years, extending AGAPE's reach across Middle Tennessee to help more and more families and children in need.
He was always sort of on the forefront of things as it related especially to child care, but also in developing a counseling program and growing a counseling program here.
Tom Burton, what an incredible individual. And he was a gentle giant, if there ever was one. A man that could influence people, could motivate people, and inspire people for the work that AGAPE does.
Over its 50-year history, AGAPE has found forever families for over 1,000 children and trained hundreds of foster families to provide homes for over 2,000 children.
I think our foster families and adoptive families who have opened their homes and their hearts to children and families and to the biological families are the real heroes of AGAPE.
I think from day one, for my mom and especially my dad, I was theirs. We were family. I just remember growing up hearing my parents talk about AGAPE, and it was just very important to them, and to be involved with that was very influential. I think eventually my adoption story really influenced the decisions I made for my career. I currently work as an assistant district attorney in Hamilton County.
I was 17 years old and pregnant with a child. Some friends of our family, very close friends of our family, were actually the ones that kind of turned me to AGAPE. The adoptive family, the Corlews, was the most amazing family.
Being able to go somewhere safe and be able to talk to someone, I can't imagine it doing it any other way. I just know that this was the right answer for me. And it's come full circle. And God's let it be known that this is the right thing. This is the right place.
I'm a mother of 2 Christian young men that love God. That is a dream come true.
We always think about how life would be different for the children that we have, that He has blessed us with. You know, we feel like that God gave them to us for a purpose and a reason, that their life could be what He wanted it to be.
They picked us out, they chose us, and I think that's really special. They could have chosen anybody else, but they chose us.
So thankful that we have been blessed to be able to give our children a different home life, a different family, so they can grow in Christ. They can know that they're loved and that God chose them for us and He chose us for them.
I think that Agape makes it possible for people like us to be able to fulfill James 1:27.
I love how it's brought everybody together, the whole family and the friends.
Knowing that we're helping these boys like find their forever home, finding a place that they belong, it's extremely rewarding.
Our lives were really easy before we took on this opportunity to foster, but through the difficulties that have come with it, it's made our family closer and it's made us closer to God as well.
The relationship with our church family has allowed them to be a part of the experience too, and it's brought us closer to them. It's made us more of a family at church because they all have invested in the kids in our house as well.
One of the funniest things was most of our friends, even our Christian friends, sort of thought we were crazy for wanting to adopt.
Bonkers.
You know, God often calls you to do things that may seem illogical, but it gives you an opportunity to see Him working in your life and His care for you.
I'm grateful for my family and my friends and my sister Lizzie and a house because some people don't have them.
As a church community, I'd like to see the church think more and more in terms of this is our responsibility to provide homes and sort of provide a village of care for these children because somebody's going to take care of them. And at Agape, we believe very strongly that the church community is best equipped. It's our God-given responsibility to do that and to take care of these children.
As churches partner with Agape, it's really an extension of what God is asking us all to be a part of, and they can do things that churches typically aren't organized to be able to do.
We have just felt like it's part of our family. It's where we turn to help people that might want to seek adoption, or if they wanted to give up a child, it would be the first people we would call. And now that we're so involved with counseling, it's our #1 call. We go to Agape.
Since it was founded, Agape's partnership with churches has helped sustain it, allowing it to transform the lives of thousands of people and give children and families new hope.
Agape's given us that opportunity, and it's because of people that 50 years ago had that foresight and saw that as a great ministry to really fulfill the work that God wants us to do.
I'm blessed to have been a part of that original part, but it's grown so much farther beyond what we could ever have imagined. It's just really gratifying to see.
Thank you for allowing God to use you, not knowing what the outcome would be.
We are able to do the work that we do every day because there were people in 1966 that sat around in a Sunday school classroom at Otter Creek and decided they had to do something. They saw a need in their community and they stepped out on faith.
Those who helped shape Agape's growth could not always foresee the many ways God would use this ministry. They may not have ever seen the impact they were having on a child's life or on generations to come. Yet, those who served Agape did so because they were answering God's call, knowing that ultimately He would provide for those in greatest need. He would use His people to achieve great things.
We didn't ever accept the fact that this dream would not come to be.
Although it has changed and evolved so much in the past 50 years, the quality and the mission has not changed.
Agape is hard work, but it's also the most satisfying, gratifying thing I've ever done because I see the love that goes forth from the people here who provide those services, and you see the real impact that real love can have on the lives of people.
It means family. It means the bringing together of individuals who need each other. And that's what agape is. Agape is love.
It is because of that love that Agape is still here today, 50 years later, stronger, wiser, and ready to embark on another step of faith. What changes will the next 50 years bring? What challenges will we face? Will you join us and share in the mission of showing agape love to families and children in need?